I just wanted to talk a little bit about posture and hand position, which are interlinked. First of all, it's a common misconception that we play the flute to the side, because it is called transverse, which means across. But actually, it's better to think of it like this, in front of your body, like a recorder or clarinet. Bring it right up like that, and you can feel it brushing your cheek here on the left side of your face. And then just turn your face towards it. Okay, and that also enables a good hand position. So I'll come back to hand position in a minute, but basically if you have this position, then your hand position is much more likely to be good as well. If I turn round, you will see that I'm not twisting my body in any way, like that or like that. So if I'm playing my flute with that correct position, all I'm turning is my head, and my back is pretty straight, I hope. It should be shoulders above hips, above knees, above feet. So you can stand with your feet slightly apart, not too together, because it makes you feel a little bit top heavy and wobbly. And you can have one foot slightly forward, that's also good. That's quite a nice playing position. And lastly, about your legs, it's quite good to keep your legs not locked, so your knees not locked back like that, so they're not really tight there. Just keep them slightly loose. You can't really even see it, as you can see on the picture, but you can feel it. And there's some sort of psychological link with your knees and your feeling of nervousness. So if you can unlock your knees, that'll help with nerves as well, which is very useful. Now moving to hand position. So assuming you've got the angle here like that, it's quite good to rest the flute on your shoulder to practice and to demonstrate as well. For your left hand, you can see that the angle of my wrist is dropped in. If you take the flute out and do that with your wrist, it should be pretty floppy. If you make your fingers very floppy and relaxed, then you'll see there's a sort of position like that happens naturally, and that's actually a really good natural flute position. So just slide your flute in and there you are. I mean, I now sort of look like I'm gripping the flute, but actually all I do is just move it over a little bit and just relax my wrist away a tiny bit, and there you are. So that's a really great way of getting a natural flute position, and a good effective one. And the thumb can just stick out past the key. It shouldn't have to be like that on the key, because that makes your thumb much more tense. So a relaxed thumb actually sticks up past the key. As for the other hand, its fingers should be at 90 degrees to the instrument, not like this, because a lot of people do play a little bit at an angle like this, also like that with their fingers hanging off. So your fingers should be as though you've got open holes. If you haven't, really the tips of your fingers should be on the middles of those keys, and absolutely at a right angle. And if your thumb is supporting the flute properly, then they can operate like little hammers. So coming to the thumb can be, my thumb is like this, and I've seen other people whose thumbs are like that. That also works. Like that also works for some people, sort of more on its side like that. So from the other side, my thumb just sits there. It's sort of kind of my natural hand position, with a flute in the way. But it's very much dependent on your own hands and the way your body's shaped, so no one looks the same as anyone else. Then the little finger ideally plays like that, curved, again like a little hammer that goes up and down. A lot of people play with a straight finger, and that it's a habit, and I used to do that myself, and I had to wean myself off it, but it's worth it because it does make your finger more agile. So the 4 points of balance or contact and opposing forces are on the flute. One of them is the thumb, which we talked about. One is the little finger, which actually pushes the flute slightly away from you and slightly down. It's a sort of mixture of those two movements. Then you've got this point here, which is a really important one for pushing the flute into yourself. And the last one is your mouth. So from here, you push the flute against your chin, and then it's fairly solid. So that hand pushes it that way, the chin pushes or holds it the other way, the thumb holds it up, and the little finger more or less holds it down, and maybe out a little bit. So that's your 4 points of contact, and it should be fairly tight here. Don't let it be so loose that it just wobbles around on the skin. It needs to be really, you need to feel it on your teeth and on your bones a little bit, so there's some contact there. You'll know if you get someone to try and pull it away. If it's really easy for them, then it's too loose, but if it's really hard, then it's too tight. Somewhere in between is best.